much every day.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you're just calling them, or are you bringing them? Can they come in?
No, we can't bring them on campus. So it's just Zoom calls.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I'm just calling coaches and non-priority kids on like regular phone calls. So
Tell you what, this will change.
Yeah.
Steve and I were talking about this with Garth last night. This will change the way things are done in a lot of ways.
mm-hmm.
I mean, just because you have that ability, technology sort of supplies you with that ability where you can stay connected with them. I wonder if they're going to make any rules about that, how you can communicate, or it'll be just treated like a phone call.
Yeah, I mean,
They already have 1,000 rules about all that stuff.
Yeah, they do.
But I wonder if they're going to put limitations on it. Is what I'm asking. You know what I mean? I wonder if.
Good. I know, like Robin's our head coach has talked to a lot of donors through Zoom call, and like I think they really like that. I think a lot of our big fans and supporters, it's a good way to connect with them without having to like bring them on campus. They can see your face, and I mean, it's a little easier to connect with somebody. I think that's something that we'll probably continue to do for sure.
Yeah, I bet. Well, hey, I know we've already done this once, but you know, maybe we could pick up where we left off and kind of work from there, or we can talk a little bit about the thing that's kind of starting to come up a lot is culture at different programs and with different coaches, and that seems to be sort of an ongoing theme as we talk to different guys. And so maybe you could just sort of rehash what we talked about before and how you see changes in that through your years of coaching, how it is now compared to at the Division II level or at the community college level. And I'll just let you go ahead and just riff on all that.
How about this?
Yeah.
How is your culture different here at Bowling Green with your head coach as opposed to where you were prior to coming here?
Yeah, it's different. So I think our culture at Wayne State was good. I think at Bowling Greens, the difference is just like the program philosophy. And, you know, Coach Freilich, I told you this before, and you guys are pretty well aware of her resume. She was 104-3 in 3 years at Ashland. And a lot of it had to do with having good players, but she had an unbelievable set of core values that they talked about every day. And it was, we do as every day we huddle up before practice, and each player gives an example of the core value of the day. And number one is be a great teammate. You know, so we had a senior this year named Jane who she'd give an example of, you know, someone on our team being a great teammate to her, or an example of her being a great teammate to somebody else, or could be a professor, could be a parent. The second core value is manners matter. You know, we want to try and look at our facility. You see it from the outside right there. Like, we want to, everybody in our facility, everybody we come across on campus in the community, we want to have great manners with them. Number three is trust. You know, Coach Freilich always says, like, you're not going to fight for somebody unless you really know them. And we try to have like deep relationships where we have like some grit to them and some real mud in the like, we want to really know them. Not just from like oh, hey, how you doing? Like small talk. We want to have hard conversations with people. Four is toughness. You're not going to be any good unless you're tough. And we want to recruit tough kids, but we also want to make our team tougher. And then number five is commitment. And, you know, if you're playing Division I athletics in the MAC conference, one of the best mid-major leagues in the country, you got to have an unbelievable amount of commitment to play here and to be successful. So
how's that different than Wayne State?
So Wayne State, we didn't have like set core values. We spent a lot of time with our kids, and we did a good job of, you know, developing relationships, but we didn't talk about it every day. It was just, you know, we didn't have like a set team rules or core values, but we made sure that like kids were doing the right things. But sometimes when it's set in concrete and it's something the kids know all of our 5 core values, and they take pride in them, and it helps just to have a reference point, right?
on the wall? You have them written on the wall, painted on
Yeah.
the wall?
Oh yeah, they're in our locker room. They're in our offices.
Yeah. So
They're
the intentionality is what's really different.
for sure. Yeah, it's out there. It's like it's something we don't have a rule where like, you know, oh, you're late, you got to do this. You're like, it's like, if you're late, you weren't being a good teammate. Like if you were late, you break your teammates' trust. If you're worried about your playing time,
Committed.
yeah, if you're worried about playing time, like we go back to the core values. We don't, you know, we're going to put the program first, and we expect the players to do the same thing. So,
Right.
Well, do you feel like at the different levels as you go through this, that sort of spelling that out for kids at the highest level helps them sort of do a lot of that coaching themselves on the floor, and where you might not have to do it at a division level because the commitment level is a little bit lower, and just maybe explain how that helps at the higher level.
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of differences between the Division II and Division I. We get more scholarships. We have 15 full scholarships where, you know, Division II kind of varies at whatever school you're at, whether how many, you know, scholarships you get. We don't have any summertime with our kids in Division II. So, you know, at Wayne State, we had our kids from the start of school till the, you know, end of school. And we had you know, you don't have a July with them where we have summer hours at Division I. And, you know, like you said, the commitments of, if you're going to be good at any level, you got to be unbelievably committed. But here it's like built-in time where you have to be committed. Like you don't have a choice. You have to be here in the summer. And we want kids that want to do that too. So, yeah.
Talk a little bit about, you know, and the thing that I've been thinking about a lot lately is the motivation of kids and how that's changed. You know, Garth, we were talking with him yesterday about how he would, you know, when there were holes in the roof of the gym at Rochester College and the floor got warped, he'd replace parts of the floor. And so he had to have a certain amount of commitment to the program. But talk about how you motivate kids now at the highest level with, you know, and we talked about this a little bit before, how some kids they'll kind of, if going to college and playing in college is their goal, sometimes they get there and they never improve. Just talk a little bit about that and kind of your opinion on how that works. And
Yeah, like, well, commitment with kids. And I mean, and also like it goes back to, you know, having to make sacrifice too. You see kids jumping AAU. There's a lot of kids that'll play on 3 or 4 AAU teams before they even get to college, and maybe transfer high schools. And, you know, so it's no wonder why there's 900 kids in the transfer portal. You know, it's and so I think sometimes the adults will screw things up, and kind of, we have to do a better job of, you know, holding kids accountable. And your freshman year is going to be hard no matter where you're at. And it's easy to just give in after your freshman year and leave, or maybe even there's certain situations where kids will transfer. And I talked about this before. I transferred from Lake Superior State to Grand Valley State, and I had to sit out. And that year sitting out was good for me. I learned a lot about myself. And, you know, part of it, I was a little immature, and I transferred to a better team in a situation where I didn't play more. And, but I learned a lot about basketball, and it helped me become a better coach. And, but yeah,
did you lose a year of eligibility back then?
No, I had a red shirt. So I played 2 at Lake Superior State, sat 1, and then played 2 at Grand Valley. So it helped me with my teaching.
You know, I coached a ton of football, and I would always say, because, you know, we get the same situation, and there's a difference between making the team and making the team better. And some people just want to make the team because that's their goal. Some people want to make the team better. And, you know, if they're afraid to compete when they get there or before they even get there, then that's, you know, I think we talked about that. That's not the person for your team. That's not the player for your team. You want the one that's got this insatiable desire to win a championship, and whatever it takes to win and leave no doubt. And your core values that you have as your team instills that in your players, because it's about loving your teammates. It's about being committed to the team and their teammates and the process. And the process that you have in place keeps them on the track, the winning track. And there are no excuses or explanations. I would always say to my guys, hey, no excuses, no explanations. This is what we do. This is how we do it. And it sounds like that's what's going on there at Bowling Green.
It is. And, a kid just left our program who was a senior, and she played 2 years for the previous staff and then 2 years for us. And she posted on her Instagram that she didn't hardly play either. She was a role player, and, she started early in the season, and then at the end of the year, she wasn't playing very much. And she talked about the program changing her life, and she'll always be a part of it. And it was something that she'll cherish forever. And that's what you want as a coach. You want to have, transformational leadership, and you want to have an impact on players that goes beyond basketball. And then ultimately, like, if you do that for a bunch of years and you string together 6-7 years of coaching like that, you're going to have good teams too. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you'll have good teams. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. You know that. So you can get a ton of talent, but if you don't surround them with structure and guidance and discipline, they're just gonna have a bunch of girls on your team.
Yeah.
How difficult is it to sort of convey that to new recruits as you've been recruiting at the different levels, and sort of, because everybody can, as a recruiter, a lot of guys say the exact same things. So if that's a selling point for your program, how do you sort of let them know that's how things go there without making it sound like everybody else?
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Following through with it too. I mean, that's the second half of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we don't want to trick kids to come into Bowling Green. We don't want to sell something that isn't going to happen. It's not going to work. That's how kids end up leaving. And we're drawn to certain kids from like we said this before, the family atmosphere. It's true. I mean, Coach Freilich's kids are at practice, and it's an overused term, right? Where every college basketball team's a family. Well, here it's true. Like, our kids we do a lot of stuff together. Coach Freilich has a team over her house all the time. It's something that we separate ourselves from the other schools just by our location and what our selling points are. Our best recruiters are our players. Like, we're not the ones. The kids are usually the ones that seal the deal for us when they spend time with our team. And then our team can talk about Coach Freilich and say she is the coolest. Like, and they're not lying, and like it matters more coming from the players than it does from.
What's one thing that you do that you think the girls really have fun with, that they just look forward to at a practice? Or, I don't know if you sing the fight song in the locker room after you win. I don't know if basketball teams even do that kind of stuff. I know football. We
do. Yeah, we sing the
what are some of those things that you do culturally that they're not necessarily the grind of basketball, but they're the spoils of the victories, or the spoils of being a good team, and you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad you asked that, Steve. That's something we do after we win. We sing our fight song in the locker room after the game. The I Ziggy Zumba, and that's like, we huddle up and we jump around, and it's the best feeling in the world. And we had a little drought this year where we didn't get to do it as much as we wanted to, and that's something that drives us. And it's fun doing it in other teams' locker room too. So we don't just do it at home.
Yeah.
So that's. I mean, our kids love that. Our kids love, like, our practices. We have a certain set of drills that they want. Like, they want to, can we play baseball today? It's a continuous drill where it's built up and to 1-on-1, 2-on-2, 3-on-3, and they're in different scenarios in the game with some, fast break scenarios, some pick and roll action. It's just like built-in scenarios that you play with, small-sided games. and they love that drill. They love, they love the competition drills. So
Right.
like so yeah, and just time together. So our bus trips, we try to, let them enjoy themselves and don't put a ton of rules on the kids. We want them to have like natural time together.
Right. There's got to be a huge difference between winning and losing. And I believe this. And it's the desire to win, the desire, or the, how do you say it? You got to hate losing more than you like winning. And so when you win, that celebration has got to be so different than, and when you play basketball, I get it, because you play a lot of games. But with that all being said, you still don't want another victory to just be another victory. Otherwise, they won't see the difference between winning and losing. That doesn't mean you have to scream at them when they lose, but you do have to really celebrate their accomplishments when they win. So they have that constant desire to want to push forward. And then winning is a result of what we do in practice. And when you teach them that, that's when they're very easy to coach, I believe.
I think that's a great point. And I felt like in the last 5 years, like kids I get the same reaction out of a loss that I do a win in a lot of cases. And they don't know how to, and this is lately I'm talking about, like they don't know how to sort of celebrate the wins and do it, classy and do it how they're supposed to, but they also don't know how to express emotion of loss either. Like it's the same sort of level attitude, which is okay. But I think when you have kids that really, like you said, Steve, they hate losing. They might like winning, but they hate losing. When you have a couple of kids on the team like that, that can really drive a team to have a lot of motivation at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that you guys brought that topic up, dude, because it kind of trickles back to the travel basketball too, where like you're gonna play another game at 3:00 if you lose at 9 a.m. But if you were playing on the park where you grew up, like back when you guys played, there wasn't travel basketball. If you lost, you had to sit 4 or 5 games to go back on the court, and someone had to pick you up to play.
You maybe didn't get a play.
You might not be able to play again. You don't have to go. That might be the end of your night if you lose, right? And it kind of goes. And I love travel basketball. I love basketball, but I think when the games matter, like it means more. So like, and they need to understand that winning is really, really hard at any level to be good, and you can't take it for granted. We talked about when we first got to Bowling Green, we celebrated the small victories all the time. Like when we got a big recruit, we celebrate. When we got, even, when we had we'd film all our practices, and we have the highlights of practice and the needs improvement clips. There's always more needs. There's always more highlights than needs improvement. We want to constantly give, positive feedback. And even there's times this year where we played really good and lost. And, we're not celebrating a loss, but in order to get over the hump and become good and win consecutive, like we need to know, like, hey, we did some really good things tonight. We just didn't win. And then there's times when you could beat a team that's not very good and not play well. But yeah, you got to celebrate the small victories.
Yeah, that's the difference in coaching. Let me ask you this, Joel. How does your team and your coach handle these things? Because these are huge distractions when, because every kid has one of these in their pocket. And the bigger it is, the bigger a factor it is in their life, and it's a bigger distraction for them. How do you guys go about managing those distractions, those phones, those things?
Well, when we first got here, like, it's something that we're just kind of learning. Like Coach Freilich's team was 104-3, and she didn't have a lot of cell phones around. And it's like something that when we got here, like we got to tell them, like, you can't bring your cell phone out to practice. Like you can't. It's stuff that you never had to think about telling somebody. But like on team meals, like you got to put your phone away. We got to have interact. When I was a junior college head coach, we were 25-6. we were playing for the game to go to the national tournament. We stayed in the hotel the night before, and like I made the mistake of taking so we didn't stay in a lot of hotel trips. It was like early in the year we went on a tournament that we had to stay overnight, but and it'd been like over 2 months. So my idea was like, all right, we're gonna get a good night's sleep. I took their cell phones. You know, if it's an emergency, they can contact me, and then I get a hold of you. But and I don't think that went. We lost to a team that we had beaten twice already. And I don't know if it was a cell phone.
Because you took their cell phones away?
No, I mean that wasn't why.
Rebelled against you because you took their cell phones? Or?
No, you know, in your head you're just thinking about different stuff. But like you just gotta have trust. Like trust that you're gonna use the phone wisely.
Yeah.
And you know, it's something that if you stress the relationships and that they mean something, if they want to be around each other, they're not going to be on their phones.
Yeah, and I think another thing is you set that standard way at the beginning, so they're not shocked when they don't get to use their phone in certain situations. It's, you know, as opposed to maybe you go, hey, we're not having our cell phones tonight. Everybody, and they go crazy, you know, because they're so addicted to the cell phone. But at the beginning of the year, you say, hey, listen, here's the situation. We want to win, sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what do you want? What do you want now? Or what do you really want?
Yeah.
And what you really want is going to take some sacrifices. What you want now doesn't necessarily take as many sacrifices.
Yeah, that's something I learned. Like, I mean, I would handle that way differently. I was a young head coach.
So how's your head coach handle it now?
Now we don't take their phones from them, but we just, you know, we ask them to be responsible. And like you said, sacrifice. Like if you're up on your phone all night, you're being a bad teammate. You're not going to be ready to perform tomorrow. And, you know, you're not being committed there. You're breaking basically every core value that we have.
Yeah.
You're not being respectful to your roommate that you're staying in the hotel with by being on your phone. And
yeah. I was telling my guys, what do you want? And what are you willing to sacrifice to get what you really want? And time on a phone or this distraction or, you know, whatever it is. It could be too much girlfriend. It could be too much phone. It could be too much, you know, what do you want? What are you willing to sacrifice to get what you want? So well, one other question I have for you is, how do you manage, you're relatively newly married, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you manage all that? Because you got a family, like you just said, your family of these basketball girls, and then you have a family with your wife, and then eventually you'll have children and all that. How do you balance all that as a coach?
Yeah, so my wife and I were dating when I was
in high school. Not as well as you want to.
Mm-hmm. My wife and I were dating when I was a high school boys coach at Marine City, and when I had gotten the call or the possibility of becoming a junior college women's head coach, she was really freaked out. She's like, I don't want you coaching women, or like and being at the college level, we're going to be gone more. And it worked out. Like, and we were still dating at this point.
Yeah.
And then I got to the community college, and she loved it, and she loved the team, and she enjoyed it. She actually preferred, you know, she's like the women are way more respectful, and they listen to you a lot better than the high school boys did. But and then when I left the community college to go to Wayne State, again, she had some concerns. She's like, well, you know, I don't know, like kind of risky. And then because I left my teaching job too. So I was a full-time high school special ed teacher and a community college head coach, which is a full-time job, but it's not paid full-time. So when I went to Wayne State, there was a little bit of reservation from her, but then when Bowling Green, there was no reservation. She was excited about that. And, you know, she had watched Coach Freilich's teams at Ashland, and she was like, let's go work for her, you know?
There you go.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, heck, we love having you on, and, you know, I don't know if there's anything we can ever do for you, but just appreciate it. And I know your girls appreciate you, you know, getting coached up by you guys and Coach Freilich. And I just think you guys have a special future ahead of you because of just the things that I hear you talking about. Those are the things that make teams go forward and produce at high levels. that consistent standard of, like Woody Hayes would say at Ohio State, you can say one thing 1,000 times or one thing 1,000 times. And you guys with your core values are saying one thing over and over 1,000 times, and it starts to sink in, and it starts to become their character, because you choose your habits and then your habits choose you, right? So you're creating situations where they have to choose this habit or they won't be part of this culture. And that's how you guys win, I think.
Yeah, I like what you guys are doing. Like, this is cool for every avenue of coach, like whether you're baseball, football, men's, women's, basketball, whatever sport it is. This is a cool opportunity for coaches to learn. And it's going to be really beneficial to people, especially during this time. We need more of this.
I believe that too. And, like I said, I've coached for a long time, and, you got a lot of good plays and you have good players. And a lot of teams have good plays and good players, but, culture beats strategy if you do it right. And if you mix a good culture with a good player and good plays, then you end up being like the New England Patriots and win, Super Bowl after Super Bowl.
Yep.
So, yeah.
I think, though, patience is a good part of that too. And that's a thing I've been hearing a lot too, is like people they're not patient with new coaches, nor are they patient with old coaches with kids coming in, because there's always sort of an adjustment of, I find this at the high school level probably more so, because I'm not a recruiting guy, but I've had to change sort of how I do things and what I run from year to year. And both parents and administration, there seems to be a lack of sort of like stepping back and noticing what good is happening in a program, like all the stuff that you're talking about with developing culture. Like, those are such important things that everybody sort of stepped back and not noticing that sort of stuff. And I think as we go through this and talk to more and more guys, it's going to become very, very apparent kind of where we go in terms of our sort of what our focus is by doing this too, because the same things keep coming up with winning programs and winning coaches, I think.
Well, Andy, too, like for you, the patience is huge, because in Grosse Pointe, like your team that you have right now, like, your impact is like the youth kid. Like they're going to see how you guys play. You're going to impact the youth kids. It's going to be years before they're in your program. And, I think that's one of the things I love about high school sports is like the community side of it, where if you're doing a really good job, you're impacting all the young kids that's eventually going to play in your program.
Yeah.
I do think that's one of the problems too, is it's not so much more communities playing against each other, though. It's kids bouncing from different. You're not playing in this for the school that you grew up in, the community you grew up in. It's
right.
That frustrates me the most about high school sports.
Yeah, me too. But I think that's going to change a lot. And I don't know that this whole thing that's going on now, this might have good effect on a lot of that. You know what I mean? It's going to change people's sort of view on what it means to be playing community basketball, and hopefully for the better.
Yeah, hopefully.
And hopefully for the long term.
Yeah, I agree.
No, it's all good. It's good. You coaches, a good coach like yourself, Joel, you guys make such a huge impact on everybody that plays underneath you and who gets to see you do what you do, and you do it well at a high level. And, and that's how you get girls tweeting out or whatever they're doing on Instagram, talking about and comparing, what they have now and what they had then, and the difference. And that's how, like you just said, that's how you make an impact. I know you're being humble about it, but, when you can make an impact like that, you're honestly, and I'm just being honest, because I've coached as long as you or more, it's very difficult to go make money at your sport, being a pro basketball player, pro football player, if you will. So the girls you're coaching, honestly, probably not going to make a whole lot of money playing basketball when they graduate, but they will make a huge impact on whoever they get to coach, teach, mother, whatever they're doing when they graduate. So we thank you for all that you're doing in coaching.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me on. This has been fun.
Okay.
Thanks.
Appreciate you.